The afternoon sunlight streamed through the tall windows of Riverside Public Library, illuminating dust particles that danced in golden beams like tiny stars, and the smell of old books mixed with the faint scent of coffee from the reading area as Grace Chen stood behind the circulation desk, helping an elderly patron find a large print mystery. If you believe librarians deserve respect for the work they do, like, share, and subscribe. Grace had been the head librarian at Riverside for 15 years, building the collection from outdated donations into a modern resource center, creating after-school programs that kept kids off the streets, running job search workshops for unemployed adults, all while earning barely above minimum wage. The teenagers, clearly not there to study, had been getting progressively louder for the past hour, their phones out recording each other, making a game of disrupting the peaceful atmosphere that Grace worked so hard to maintain. When she approached their table with her patient smile and gentle reminder about library noise policies, the ringleader looked her up and down with exaggerated disdain and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "What are you gonna do, shush us? You're just some old lady who sits at a desk all day. Get a real job." His friends erupted in laughter, one filming the interaction, while another made mocking gestures behind Grace's back. And the other patrons all looked uncomfortable, but nobody said anything, everyone choosing the safety of non-involvement over the risk of defending someone. Grace felt her face flush hot, but she maintained her composure, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. "I understand you're having fun, but this is a shared space and other people are trying to read and study." "Or what?" the kid challenged, standing up now, his friends joining him, forming a semicircle that felt vaguely threatening. "You gonna call security?" "This place doesn't even have security, it's just you and a bunch of dusty books nobody cares about." Before Grace could respond, the library's front door burst open with a force that made everyone jump, and in walked 6 firefighters in full gear, turnout coats still smelling faintly of smoke, boots heavy on the tile floor, faces streaked with soot. Led by Captain Mike Torres, a man whose presence commanded immediate attention even when he wasn't walking through a library like he owned the place, the teenagers froze, their bravado evaporating instantly in the presence of actual authority, actual physical power, actual consequences walking toward them on steel-toed boots. Captain Torres walked straight to Grace, his weathered face breaking into a warm smile that completely ignored the teenagers. "Grace, we just finished a call 2 blocks over, and the guys were talking about how we haven't properly thanked you yet." Grace looked confused. "Thanked me for what?" And Torres turned to address the entire library. 3 months ago, Ms. Chen stayed late, on her own time, unpaid, to help my rookie firefighter pass his EMT certification exam. She found resources, created study guides, spent hours tutoring him when he was ready to give up, and because of her he passed. And because he passed, he saved 2 lives last week in a car accident. One of the younger firefighters stepped forward. "I'm that rookie, my name's Jake, and I almost dropped out because I couldn't afford test prep courses. But Ms. Chen said the library had everything I needed if someone would just help me find it. And she did." Another firefighter added, "She runs a resume workshop that helped me get this job after I got out of the service. Taught me how to translate military experience into civilian terms. Spent 3 sessions with me one-on-one." A female firefighter spoke up, her voice thick with emotion. "Ms. Chen created a children's reading program that my daughter attends every Saturday. It's free, and it gave my kid a love of reading that's changed her entire academic trajectory." Captain Torres turned his attention to the teenagers, now his expression shifting from warm to steel in an instant. "So when I heard that some punks were disrespecting Ms. Chen, my entire crew decided our lunch break would be spent here, making sure she knows how valued she is." The silence in the library was absolute, and the ringleader tried to recover. "We were just joking around, it wasn't serious," but Torres cut him off with a look that could melt metal. "Disrespect is never a joke, and mocking someone who dedicates their life to serving their community makes you the punchline, not her." One of the firefighters pulled out his phone. "We got the video your friend posted, already sent it to the principal at Riverside High. I'm sure they'll be interested in how their students behave in public spaces." The transformation was instant. The swagger vanished, replaced by genuine fear, as the teenagers realized that actions have consequences, that the firefighters they'd grown up being taught to respect were not impressed with them. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to apologize to Ms. Chen sincerely, and then you're going to volunteer 10 hours each at this library doing whatever she needs, shelving books, helping with programs, learning what actual work looks like." One by one, the teenagers mumbled apologies, their eyes down, their voices small, and Grace, despite having every right to refuse, accepted gracefully, saying, "I appreciate the apology, and I'd be happy to have volunteers. Everyone deserves a second chance." After the teenagers slunk out, the library erupted in applause, patrons who'd been silent now showing their support, and Captain Torres presented Grace with something unexpected. A certificate of appreciation signed by the entire fire department and the mayor's office recognizing her community service, and a check for $5,000 that the department and local businesses had pooled together to buy new children's books in her honor. Grace stood there with tears streaming down her face, overwhelmed by the reminder that the quiet work she did mattered, that lives she'd touched remembered her, that community was more than just words on a mission statement. The firefighters stayed for an hour, helping kids with homework, reading stories to the children's section, taking photos that would end up on the library's social media with captions about community heroes recognizing community heroes. Before they left, Captain Torres told Grace, "You save lives too, just in a different way. You give people knowledge, hope, resources, dignity, and that matters just as much as what we do. Never let anyone tell you different." The story spread through town like wildfire. The local news picked it up, and suddenly people who hadn't been to the library in years started showing up. Some to apologize for taking it for granted, some to volunteer, some to donate. The city council, embarrassed by the attention on their underfunded library, allocated emergency funds for renovations, new computers, and salary increases for library staff. The teenagers actually showed up for their volunteer hours, and by the end of their 10 hours, 2 of them had become regular volunteers, one discovering a love for organizing that led to a career in library science. Sometimes the quietest heroes are the ones who show up every day without recognition, who build communities through patience and knowledge, who change lives in ways that don't make headlines until someone takes the time to say thank you. Don't ever let anyone diminish the work of librarians, teachers, social workers, or anyone who serves their community for love instead of profit, because they're the backbone of civilization, the quiet force that holds everything together. Grace still works at Riverside Public Library, still helps patrons find books and resources, but now there's a plaque on the wall from the fire department, a shelf dedicated to books bought with that donation, and a framed photo of 6 firefighters reading to children. Hit subscribe if this story reminded you that librarians are unsung heroes who deserve recognition, that standing up for others creates ripples that change entire communities, and drop a comment below. What's your favorite library memory, or how has a librarian impacted your life?